Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome into a Friday edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Mikey McNuggets, G. Bush, Jason Lloyd. I'm filling in for Jay Crawford today. We got a giant show, and we start with some breaking news. So, Ant, let's get a read, and then we'll dive right into the breaking news this morning.
Yeah, guys, this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Fantasy football is back. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, UCSS is back on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should be too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league. To celebrate 28 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th. So stay tuned and get started by creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy Football League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet.
Well, if you've already had your fantasy draft, A, you're crazy. B, if you had already had your fantasy draft and drafted the Cleveland Browns defense, you got a bit of disappointing news this morning. Longtime linebacker Jordan Hicks announcing his retirement. He had missed the first 2 days of camp due to personal reasons. We find out before day 3 of camp that Jordan Hicks is hanging up the cleats after 23 years of playing football. They already lost JOK in the linebacker room. They've now lost Jordan Hicks in the linebacker room. We assume Carson Schlesinger will be one of the starting linebackers, the 33rd pick in this most recent draft. But G. Bush, were you surprised at the Jordan Hicks retirement announcement this morning? And frankly, who's going to start next to Carson Schlesinger now?
Man, I turned around and before the show started. I turned around to Jason. Hey, you know something about this? You know who? He's I ain't had nothing on it. Listen, this came out of left field. I thought he was penciled in to start. He was more of a team leader at linebacker. And the concerning part about this situation is, all right, JOK. All right, we don't know what's on with that. We already speculated that looks like a long shot. Shout out to JOK, by the way. Jordan Hicks is retired. Devin Bush is in court. I don't know what's going on with him and his court situation. And now you have a linebacker room where you have Jerome Baker, you have Carson Schlesinger,
Diabate,
and Mohamed Diabate. And that's about it. For a unit that is, looking at the Browns, the defense is probably going to be the reason that they overachieved this year, if they were going to overachieve. And, that's a knock to what they're doing because he was a big part of what it was. But, that's why you draft Carson Schlesinger. Now that pick looks a little more plausible. You see, kind of look around like, oh, I see. And I wonder did Andrew Berry Jordan Hicks is a pro's pro, a man's man. He probably said, listen, I'm thinking about it. Yeah. You guys might want to protect yourself a little bit there, and I'll let you know. And he probably, when he ain't there the first 2 days, Jason, and as hot as it was yesterday, I could see why he might have had some second thoughts. If you thinking about retirement and anywhere close to it,
that don't help.
Nah, you like, I'm cool. I'm going to just go ahead and call in sick today permanently.
Yeah, I don't know what the personal matters was that he's been dealing with. I'm guessing this was not a surprise to the Browns, certainly not as much as it was to us. I was taken off guard by it, but I think you understand now why they took Schlesinger where they did. It's a good thing they did, and we have to wait and see. Devin Bush could be facing suspension based on what's going on with him and court date he's got coming up. So they're thin there. There's no question about that. It's early in camp. I'm sure maybe as guys get cut, maybe they make a move. Maybe they bring somebody else in to try and fill that spot. It is not the priority of the defense at that position, but at the same time, you got to have somebody there. You got to have dudes who can run and tackle there. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on Carson Schwetzinger for being a second-round pick. There's going to be a lot expected of him now.
And Jason Lloyd's voice, linebackers are not their thing. They are. Remember the one year I threw a stone cold fig. He's like, listen, dog. They want warm bodies at backer. That's it, and that's what they like.
It ranks 3rd out of 3 on the priority list. Defensive line being number 1, secondary 2, and then linebackers 3 in a Jim Schwartz defense. But I mean, that's fine. But you still got to have guys who can go out there and play.
You need somebody,
Yeah.
right? And right now, when you look at the Browns linebacker room, minus JOK and minus Jordan Hicks, you have Mohamed Diabate,
Who I actually like.
I do too.
too.
But it's been small sample size.
Yeah.
We've never seen him in that prolific role that
Yeah.
you would feel comfortable with saying
Sure.
he's definitely a player.
Right.
You have Jerome Baker, who's floated around. I know
Veteran,
Tyvis
yeah.
calls him Jerome Baker, the touchdown maker, which is not a great nickname considering he plays on defense. And I understand that comes from his high school days. That's not an NFL nickname, but
Yeah.
still, when your nickname's the touchdown maker, I want you to be a running back or receiver.
Right.
Not a guy who's supposed to stop the other team from scoring said touchdowns. You have Carson Schwetzinger, who was an All-American last year, a guy I think we're all pretty high on, but has yet to play a single snap preseason or regular season in the NFL, and is a guy who was a walk-on coming out of high school just 4 years ago. I mean, this dude's had an incredible transformation and journey, but it's not like he has a proven track record for more than a year or two of this sustained level of excellence. And we know the Browns have a chance to have a really good defensive line. We know they have a chance to have a really good secondary. But, I go back to 2022, the first year of the show, when they had no defensive line, but we felt better about the linebackers in the secondary. If one of those three is such a weakness, it can be exploited. And for the Browns to be competitive this year, the defense has to be, top 12 or better for them to have a chance to win, more than a couple games this year, unless one of these quarterbacks goes off. And we'll talk about your in-person observations of the quarterbacks in a sec. It's just a weak room. It has potential. Maybe these guys can step up and be better players than they are technically on paper, but right now there's just not a lot of true proven track record or proven production from the entire linebacking room.
Yeah, it's they got a lot of names up front and in the secondary, but when you're playing in a division like the AFC North, you got to get ready. I mean, you got to get ready to go. Teams, especially, and I'm going to stop saying the AFC North. Let me talk about the AFC in general. Like, you play in the AFC, man. Ain't no slouches coming out there. Teams got quarterbacks. Teams going to run the football. You got, a lot of teams that is really top-notch NFL organizations in terms of the best teams in the league. So when you got unproven guys out there, and we haven't added in rookies, right? Even if Carson Schwetzinger is great, they're still called a rookie wall, where it's like, oh man, I done already paid 12 games. Now you got 5 more to go. That bye week is late. Yeah. So, we'll see how they do. But, in general, they are a little thin, and a couple injuries can put a monkey wrench into some things for them.
When you look at the schedule, too, they open the season against Joe Burrow. Week 2 is against Lamar Jackson. You have Aaron Rodgers in the division now. If you're looking at just the linebacker group, against Baltimore, you have to be on all your P's and Q's because of the read option. Lamar is a scrambler. Against Cincinnati, no quarterback in football, in my opinion, is better at diagnosing the defense and making that lightning-quick decision, getting the ball out of his hand within a second and a half than Joe Burrow. That puts an emphasis on the linebackers to be in the right spot at the right time in those zone coverages. And who the hell knows what Aaron Rodgers is going to give Pittsburgh this year. If he's good, if he's terrible, I'd see both sides of the coin. But it's a tough division for any linebacker. It's an even tougher division for some unproven guys, and they're going to be thrown to the fire right away. You look at those first 5 games.
Nasty.
Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and then maybe J.J. McCarthy's good. Maybe he's terrible. We'll find out in 5 games. But tough situation for the Browns, and as we get more information on what happened to Jordan Hicks, we will bring that to you guys right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Before we dive into G. Bush's in-person camp observations, because G. Bush got his first in-person look at Shedeur Sanders, at Dillon Gabriel, at Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco yesterday. What's up, guys? We didn't really do an introduction today.
Yeah,
jump right into breaking news.
Right into that work.
G,
man.
how's your basement doing, by the way?
Bro, let me tell you something, bro. So if I was texting. I was supposed to be at camp the first day. Man, so the main line that it goes to the sewer in the street collapsed.
Oh.
Look, see?
As a homeowner, he knows. As a homeowner, he knows.
Hey,
Yeah.
look, so
thoughts and prayers.
thoughts and prayers. Listen, thoughts and prayers. Like, yo, so like you really like. There's a couple of things that the people told me like that when you really found out that you're a man. You know, when you get married and you cry and you see your life in front of you, or when you have your first child, or when you have to, you know, bury a parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really feel like, dang, man, I really got to take on this responsibility. Coming in an honorable mention right underneath that is when your sewer line collapses. Right at 5, because it hits you at a level of, what the hell is going on with my basement? What is that? Hold on, let me go down. And there's water. Now, mind you, you know what my basement looked like.
I do. And by the way, that's the studio.
Yeah, it's a studio. My wife called me and said, she was like, I was like, well, why can't you talk? She said, there's water in the basement. I was washing clothes. Listen, it felt like somebody was like, sir, you got to come to the hospital. Man, I said, calm down. Let's figure out how things are going to happen. They came down. I'm thinking, call the people. They was like, yeah, sir, we tried to snake it. But let me show you this footage. I said, this is all 22 on a drain? This is all 22 footage of the drain? What are you talking? He said, yeah, see, you see right here?
They're the sideline Indians.
They had all of it. I said, yo, what does this mean? He said, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you have a collapse line, and we're going to have to dig up your front yard to get to it. And then he gave me the price tag on it. And then I text McNuggets. I said, man, next year I'm going to Italy too. Because I spent what it could have cost the whole family to go to Italy a couple of times.
But why is it out of your pocket? If the main line broke, if they broke it.
Well, it's on your property.
Yep.
The main line attaches to the sewer, which is in the street. So if it breaks in the street, you get the city.
Yep.
But it was right on the sidewalk. And they threw the challenge flag. Because the city got to come to pull up to even co-sign it. They got, we got to give you a permit. He was like, ooh, it was close. The sidewalk was here. You about a foot away, so yeah, that's on you.
After further review, G. Bush is screwed.
After further review, the cookout has been canceled.
Timeout, G. Bush.
I text McNuggets. I texted him like, it was probably too much information.
No.
I just texted him. I was like, this is unacceptable. I just needed a vent.
Listen, I love G, and one of the best things about G is he'll always tell you exactly what's going on, for better or worse. And like sometimes we've gotten texts from G in the morning. Hey, Mike and Steve, I can't make it in today. My throat is bleeding. Here's a picture of the bloody rag that I had to show the doctor when I got. Well, G, say you're sick, bro.
I like to be
we
intimate.
trust you. We
I like
understand.
to be intimate with it.
He said there's a doctor's note every time he gets back from the doctor,
Yes.
as if we were gonna check in. I don't know, G.
I come from corporate America. They got a you work for the Cleveland Clinic. They like, you get 2 point infractions.
When G's in traffic, he sends me a picture of the traffic. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I did want to mention one other thing though before we dive back in. But yesterday, my girlfriend Gabby got a gum graft.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's surgery, procedure, whatever it is.
Never heard about that, ever.
It's a receding gum line where they take part of your mouth from the back of your mouth and put it on your gum.
Did she give you permission to ask this?
She literally just texted me and said, please tell them about my gum graft. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is all clear.
Cool.
But,
My ex-girlfriend, Gabby.
No. So for a week, she can only have she's on a liquid diet.
Yeah.
No hard foods.
Yeah.
And for 2 days, the numbing stuff that they put in her mouth, she can't really talk right now. She's like, and she's like,
That's awesome.
So when you say your wife couldn't talk, because I started thinking. Now, I learned something yesterday. There's one of two things here, and I'm not sure which one it is. Either I am the worst charades understander in the history of America.
That's wild.
Or Gabby is the worst charades demonstrator in America. Because we were standing this far apart last night. And she's like, I can't even understand you when you talk. We got communication issues to start with. You take verbal out. Lost completely.
Make sure you get video of this.
I need this.
Oh, I do have a video when she just got back yesterday on Viking, I think they prescribed her.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't like the great videos where they're completely zonked out.
Yeah.
But she's trying to talk. She's like, very, very.
Leslie had surgery a few years ago, and I got the most incriminating pictures ever of her, like when I was driving her home, and like she got like ice everywhere, and, like in the chair. And she saw the picture. A couple days later, she's like, "I can't believe you took that picture." Like, I couldn't pass up the moment.
Well, this is why she sends me all the bad stuff. You. So this is retaliation for that. It all makes sense now. All right, let's talk about camp. Give us a read. We'll get into it.
That's a great segue there, Mike. But summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out getting sunburned at the beach. And I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started.
All right, guys, day 2 of camp is officially in the books. Day 3, day 4, day 5 will come up in the upcoming days. I think they're off today, right? And they're back on Saturday. I forget the exact schedule.
I think
They practice today.
Is they practicing today too?
Yeah.
They do practice today. Okay, I know that they have some point a day off before they
Sunday.
put on pads.
Sunday's
Sunday's
the
a
day
day off. But most importantly, our guy G. Bush made it out there in person. Jason, you were there too, but you're not nearly as important as G. Bush for this first part of the discussion. We're going to get to
he's just out there every day.
We're going to get to what Andrew Berry said about Quinshon Judkins in a second. But G, this was your first chance, your first opportunity to see the quarterback battle up close in person or with your own 2 eyes. And you titled your stream last night, "The Browns' Brutal Quarterback Battle." Mm-hmm. Explain.
Yeah, I actually, the thumbnail said that at this point, there is no quarterback battle. There is none.
Why not?
We'll get to that. First and foremost, I will say this because I'm not a hater. But I want to let people know. The first thing I said, I saw Jason Lloyd out there, and we was watching him throw the ball and doing his thing, and I said, hey man, Dillon Gabriel got a little arm.
Now, little because he's 5'3", or little because it's not that strong?
No, not little. Little means it's big.
Yeah.
But that would sound crazy, Paul. But no, I said, hey, the ball jumps off his hand. He throws a tight spiral. Like when he's throwing outs and underneath stuff, he has a stronger arm in person than what you may need to lead on in terms of like when people talk about it. Like he has some velocity on it. Now there are some things where I saw where it gets a little muddy when he gets kind of pinned in the pocket. The pocket gets collapsed a little bit. He loses some accuracy. But that's the first thing I saw. I was like, okay, I like that. I had to tell him. I said, people think I'm gonna come out here and hate. I ain't gonna do no hating, bro. I seen it. The second thing I noticed, to me, there ain't really no difference in the skill. Like when I talk about the way they look. The Browns done really broke it all the way back down to the footwork. There's a thing where people say, hey, maybe Shedeur is not learning this or he's becoming a little slower. There was nothing that I saw out there that would tell me from the drill work, from the individual periods where he's a little slower. All of them look the same in terms of the way quarterback play looks, right? You're not going to really know anything until the bullets start flying, and then you got to do some other type stuff. But from my standpoint, I didn't see any deficiencies where one guy was just a head over heels better than the next guy. And I did see Kenny Pickett. He did throw a pick yesterday, but he did he had a nice 20-yard comeback. That was cool too. But let me get to the reason over a high level of why I say there isn't a quarterback battle. Because at this point, I wanted to look and see what the energy level was. You watch Stefanski, you listen to Andrew Berry. And at this point, Joe Flacco took first-team reps first, right? Then they brought Pickett in. Dillon Gabriel got some I would call them, as we call them, scraps.
Scraps?
He got the table scraps, and Shedeur wasn't in. Like, he wasn't in on that level. Then when they went 7-on-7, 7-on-7, they had 2 fields, if I'm correct. It was down there on the right-hand side of the field. It was Joe Flacco and it was Kenny Pickett, and it was on the other side, it was Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. Now, when I was going to practice, as I hear them say this, right, we've been hearing all off season, 4 quarterback race, 4 guys. I said, oh, man, that's propaganda, bro. This ain't it. Because, truthfully, there is no way you can decipher which one of these guys are better than which unless you are getting said reps with the same people. It'll be easy if you just said, I got all 4 guys. One day you're going to get all the reps ones. The next day you're going to get them the next day. And you got the same sample size. It's like scientific method. The offensive line is the same. The receiver is the same. You're going against the number 1 defense is the same. So now I can compare. But there's no way you can compare what level these guys are on if it was a true quarterback competition. And just the way that the coaching was going, just the way that it looked, you know the difference between somebody that's in the mix and somebody that's not in the mix just by the level of what you have to do. So if you in the back and you with the coaches, you by the coach is telling you how you got to do this and moving with this. That's not the same as you at the front and you throw and then Pickett throw. And then you throw, and then Pickett throw. And they kind of leave you alone and kind of let you do what you're going to do and see how it works. They'll give you some coaching. But it was more of, in my opinion, at this moment. Now, listen, I said at this moment, it ain't a quarterback competition. Could that change? Kevin Stefanski is very wise with his words. He said, we'll readjust on Sunday to figure out what's going on. And we'll get with our coaching staff to see if anything needs to change. But as far as I'm concerned, it was very evident. The Cleveland Browns are invested in 2 people right now. They are invested in Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco at this moment. Now, could that change? Sure, it could. But from what I saw out there, that wasn't no quarterback competition. This looked like, the hierarchy is well established.
But we've kind of known that. And we've talked about, I think at various points, it's a battle between the 2 veterans and a battle between the 2 rookies. I haven't seen anything different through the first 2 days of camp than how we left OTAs. Like, I was curious to come back. Okay, we kept saying at OTAs, Shedeur's not getting any reps with the first team. So is that going to change? And I haven't seen any change through the first 2 days from what we saw ending at OTAs. It's Kenny or Joe, and then it's the other one, and then it's Dillon. And then they break, and then Shedeur runs 7-on-7. Mm-hmm. What you saw yesterday is kind of exactly how it went during OTAs. So, and Kevin did say, like, they're going to digest on Sunday, during Sunday's off day. They're going to take the first couple days, process the information, then see if they make any changes. I'm not sure what great changes. If they didn't make any changes coming off OTAs into this, I don't know what big changes you're expecting to see coming off the 1 day off after the first 4 practices. So it just it is what it is right now in terms of pecking order. And I agree with you. Like I told you yesterday, if Dillon Gabriel's 4 inches taller, I think he's a first-round pick. I've said that before on the show. The size is the only thing with him. They really like him. And I say that and everyone ignores it, and I get why they ignore it, but they like him. They really, really like him. And the way that he processes, the way that he throws, you saw the arm strength. The issue with him is I don't know how you can make him a pocket passer. He's not a pocket. Everything has to be on the move. Yeah. It's got to be boots. It's got to be moving the pocket. It's got to be.
He played in 3 different systems in college, and they were 3 different shotgun-style systems. He was in more of an option system at UCF.
Yeah.
Then at Oklahoma, it was more of the traditional air raid, and then Oregon was a little more pro-style, but it's a shotgun pro-style spread offense, which is very opposite of what Kevin Stefanski has told us he wants to get back to this season.
That's the funny part is Flacco is sort of if you take the interceptions out, which is a big part of it, but remove the interceptions, and Flacco I think is a lot of what Kevin likes. He's a big play action quarterback. He can run play action. He can stand in the pocket and pick teams apart. That's not Dillon. Yeah. Can be Kenny. Kenny can move the pocket around. He's athletic. He can move back there more than Joe.
How big is Kenny?
He's not as big as Joe.
Well, not many quarterbacks in the NFL are.
I mean,
he's big enough.
He's
6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, about 6'2"-ish. He's there. Okay. I think when you said it, it was very evident. It was a goal line segment, And on the goal line, the microcosm of how I saw camp going, and I was okay with being like, oh, this ain't no competition. But was because when Dillon Gabriel was in confined spaces and when it got constricted at the goal line, it was very palatable because you could see that he had to strain and try to move. And then also with Shedeur Sanders, by the way, Shedeur Sanders looked great. I mean, with the throws he had, I didn't see anything that made me feel any different about Shedeur Sanders. But I tell people all the time, man, a lot of times with football and generally speaking, with sports in general, it's not whether you can play or not. It is the fact if you get the opportunity, and then what do you do with it? Because to me, I looked at it and I said the path for him to get on the field earlier than where I see it at this point has to be with if one of the veteran quarterbacks during the Eagles and the Panthers just looked bad, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, well, let's see what we can do with this, and maybe he might earn the reps. And then the second big thing is he has to light it up when it comes to the preseason games. I told you, the dinking and dunking, where you at the pecking order at this point, that ain't going to get it done. You have to turn eyeballs. You have to make plays. And then when you make those plays, people will say, oh, well, hold on. If we can't ignore that. Those are the two things that I saw.
I am simply speculating. There's no real information behind this, but if we came out of OTAs and Shedeur wasn't getting those first team reps, those opportunities with the higher caliber players. I heard yesterday he was throwing to equipment guys because they ran out of receivers at the end of practice. I don't know if you guys can validate that.
But on the goal line where he was on, when he was playing with, I think, the threes on the goal line when Shedeur get an opportunity. The first two plays was terrible. They dribbled the snap to him, and it was busted play. So it was just like,
So if he's not getting those reps now after the entire off time between OTAs and now, and he's only getting limited reps in these legitimate training camp practices, he has to just, and it's putting unfair pressure on him.
Yeah.
Go 4 for 4 with 4 touchdowns, and not touchdowns in terms of practice stats, Jason, because I could see but like 4 deep bombs or four plays where he makes. Oh my God, the first 3 was the flat he took just to get a chance to get more reps to showcase more. I'm not sure how he's going to move up the pecking order if he's getting such limited reps. And I don't know who you take those reps from. I'm not even saying it's a negative on what the Browns are doing. I'm just not sure how you handle that situation.
Here, I mean, the reality is it's July 25th. It's going to start getting late really early for the 4th-string quarterback. Unless there's an injury. Like if there's an injury of some sort or something like that, or there's an opening. We see all of training camp practice. It's an hour.
Yeah.
It's an hour and 15 minutes. Compared to the rest of the day and what they're doing in the film room and in the quarterback room and
7,
everything
8,
else.
9 hours that we don't see.
Exactly. So we're only going off and of the 70 minutes that they're out there, probably 20 to 22 are worthy. And the rest are stretching or they're throwing against air. You know, it just doesn't matter. For what we're trying to do here. The parts, like, if they're going 11 on 11, it's literally like 10 reps divided among 3 guys.
And
4 guys.
No, 3, because the 4th guy ain't getting it.
But I'm saying, in this situation, there are 4 guys we want to see get those 10 reps.
Right.
And you can't divide a rep into a half, by the way.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I came away thinking, like I said, all right, I watched him. I said, I think he could play. But if you are not given the opportunity, like it's more. I think this is more about, frankly, not about if Shedeur Sanders could play, or not about if he's behind somebody's mentally, or he's not picking the playbook. It's something to be said for. This is what our plan was, and how are we going to stick to it? Because I came away from training camp listening to Andrew Berry and listening to Kevin Stefanski. I don't know about Kevin Stefanski because, he came away unbothered. I said it. The 2 unbothered awards of the camp was Shedeur looked like he was like, hey, listen, I'll give him credit for that. He's not discouraged. He was jovial. He talked to everybody he's seen. And it looks like he's like, yo, I'm here for the process. I get my chance. I'm going to try to do something with it. Kevin Stefanski was the second unbothered pick. It looked like Kevin Stefanski had already had his deal signed up. I said, oh, look how he talked. But Andrew Berry, I believe that Andrew Berry in his mind has already targeted a quarterback in 26.
I mean, that's.
I feel in the way his energy is, I feel he has targeted. I think he's done his due. I think he's tried to do his homework 2 years in advance. He has a guy in mind or a couple of guys in mind, but his problem is he got to survive to make the pick.
Which goes back to a lot of what we said before.
Yeah, but also, like, let's not pretend that Shedeur is getting railroaded by the Browns. He's not.
No.
If they thought he was better, he'd be out there. They don't think he's better. Period. That's it. If they thought they had a rookie quarterback who could be the franchise quarterback, this team has been searching for a franchise quarterback since 1999. If they thought he was the guy, he would be getting every opportunity right now to prove he's the guy. Clearly, at this point, they don't think that. And the same's true of Dillon Gabriel. If they thought Dillon Gabriel was the guy, he'd be getting first-team reps right now. And that's just not the case. But, I mean, they're telling you they like Dillon Gabriel better than Shedeur. But it's not because there's some vendetta or agenda out against Shedeur. They like the other guy better. That's it.
What scares me, G? Joe Flacco's a bit of a wild card. He's been up and down. If they're not 100% sure that Shedeur or Dillon isn't better than Kenny Pickett right now,
I
have my concerns long term about both of them.
I understand, but here's the thing. I also understand. It's about your picks. Listen to the way he talks about Mike Hall and Quinshon Judkins. Now I know
we're gonna get to Judkins as soon as we're done with this. By the way,
I know that it's touchy. We don't want to talk about it's touchy a little bit, but this goes back to what I say. I wholeheartedly believe that Andrew Berry or Kevin Stefanski, not necessarily, that was not their choice. That, to me, Shedeur Sanders is Jimmy Haslam. And I said in my podcast, I said, the quickest way for him to get on the field is not through whether Andrew Berry believes in him or Kevin Stefanski. It comes from whether Jimmy Haslam gets knee-jerk reactions and gets excited if the season starts going downhill and he shows enough to say, okay, we'll give you that opportunity. But I will say, though, this too. I also listened to Andrew Berry, and this is just me. I can say whatever. This is just my opinion. Andrew Berry, the way he talked about the traffic ticket situation, they use that in their decision-making process moving forward in terms of how serious they took it. And that, to me, I believe, set them back a little bit. Now, that could be just me.
No, the only thing because I never wrote about the traffic ticket.
Right.
I've joked before, like, he didn't do anything I haven't done. I'm not going to kill the kid for that. But what you don't want to do if you're Shedeur is give a team that's looking for a reason not to trust you, more reason for them not to trust you. And that's what he did. That's what the tickets were.
Right.
When you're trying to build trust, when you're fourth, when you're behind three other dudes, when you're behind the dude that they took in your draft class, the last thing you need to do is give them reason not to trust you. And that's exactly what he did with decision making. So that's not me killing them. I don't care.
I'm with you. I could care less.
That's them.
But we got to always break this down. This is not us.
I told Jason before you came in, I was like, the tone of that comment was telling.
The tone, you could. It ain't about, because listen, and I know Quinshon Judkins is a different case.
And we're getting to it in a sec, I promise.
But he wasn't going to tip. He didn't touch nothing. He talked about the program, and you got to take it case by case in the league. It ain't my decision on all of it. But when they said Shedeur Sanders speed ticket, he said it was, what did he say? I don't want to say misquote him. He said it wasn't smart, not smart. Went into.
I'll get the exact
being
quote. Hold
safe.
It's not being safe.
Or Kevin said safe.
Yeah, it wasn't, but the way Andrew Berry spoke about it, and I talked about it yesterday, they took that in-house more extra than people on the outside.
Yeah.
I just think it's worth pointing out between the two, with Judkins thing, it's still just allegations at this point.
Yes.
It's still a legal matter that has not been fully resolved.
Right.
With the speeding, it's right there.
Yeah, it's cut and dried.
It's cut and dried. This is what he was doing.
Yeah.
This is what he was convicted of. Like, cops got him going that fast. So and the Mike Hall thing, obviously there were allegations that were then backtracked a little bit. Something went on in that house. So there is a little bit of difference between.
You have to.
But I hear you.
But the tone was telling a little bit because I said, oh, okay.
It caught my ear too.
Yeah, okay.
Let's talk about Quinshon Judkins for a second though, because before Andrew Berry even got into his first press conference of training camp, in his opening statement, he addressed the Quinshon Judkins situation. The first 4 or 5 questions from the media were all related to Quinshon's situation, their vetting process. He even was asked, is there a chance that Quinshon never ends up signing a contract here with the Cleveland Browns? And basically his answer was, it's a legal process. It's still ongoing. We're not going to comment on anything like that. But, Jason, it felt like the Browns, and Andrew Berry in particular from those comments, are playing this version very differently than previous versions of similar allegations with Mike Hall, with Deshaun Watson, and situations like that.
Yeah, I tend to get that sense too. I think he wants to be very careful in everything that he says, first of all, so he doesn't want to say something that's going to come back to blow up in his face. If he's asked, is there a chance he never signs a contract, you don't want to say yes.
Yeah.
Because now the building's on fire and the alarms are going off, and you don't want to say no just because you don't know what else is out there and what else may eventually come. So I get why he's playing it close to the vest. It does feel like it's different. Certainly with Mike Hall, he was back on the practice field the next day. With Quinshon, they told him stay away. When he says take everything by a case-by-case basis, there was more of a history between Mike Hall and his girlfriend previous that they had information on. There was nothing with Judkins. There was nothing in his past. But these are really ugly allegations, too. When, we all know the story. I don't need to go through it again, but it was in the police report. It was documented that she had markings on her face and bruising on her face and bruising on her leg, and he hit her multiple times, going off the police report and going off the evidence and the pictures. So I think that they do need to take these things. Like, the Kareem Hunt thing was John Dorsey. And Kareem was fine when he was here. Mm-hmm. They took a chance on him, and he was a solid citizen while he was here. But then, the Deshaun thing. And there was other things like with Perion Winfrey and whatever, but it didn't rise to this level. But now Mike Hall, and now this. At some point, you gotta start taking a stand on some of this stuff of what do you want to be? What kind of organization do you want to be? And what do you want to be known for? And I've had other executives from other sports talk about that. And what are you going to stand for? And what are you going to allow and what aren't you going to allow? And I think maybe they're reaching the point on this of like, enough is enough. Like, how are we going to handle this? What are we going to do about this? Just my opinion. He was such a high pick. He is going to sign. He's going to have a career here in Cleveland. But I think that they want to be very careful in how they let this play out. Now, if he's a 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick, he's probably gone.
Gone.
But the fact he was almost a 1st-round pick, a high 2nd-round pick, and by the way, you traded from 2 to 5, and that's what you got. You traded from 2 to 5 with Jacksonville. You got the one next year, and you got the pick that became Quinshon Judkins. That matters. That plays a role in this as well. So they are going to give him an opportunity to make good on that pick. It's just going to take a while. We had Zach on yesterday, and I asked him, do you think this could be a lost season? And yeah, like, with the timeline that this is playing out and all the time he's going to miss and the fact that it looked like he's not even close, it could be a wash of a rookie season for him. Doesn't mean he can't go on and have a productive career. But for this year, it's not looking good right now.
Yeah, I got the feeling that, not saying this is a guarantee, but the wall's closing in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because I look and I was, when Andrew Berry was talking, I said, let me go ahead and parse some of the stuff. When he said loss of sleep, that's when I said, oh, okay. I know what that means at a certain level. And I thought it was a very important choice of words for him, because at this point, you could take all these different things in a vacuum, right? And I could even go back to even Malik McDowell, right? That happened. But you got to realize this too. A lot of people is looking unfairly, because a lot of this stuff happened before he was even here. But a lot of people lump all this stuff in together. So the Browns, when they say factory of sadness and all this stuff, when they say the Cleveland Browns, you still mention Johnny Manziel. You still mention Josh Gordon, right? You still mention Kellen Winslow Jr., right? These are the names that you hear about. Even, even if you want to go to the Myles Garrett or whatever the case happened with him, in the car situation. What happens is you start to be the bearer of all of those things. You start to be the person that's a representative because you're there now. You're in a position today, but you still carry the tradition of losing and all of these bad things happening to you almost is silent baggage, because until you can consistently flip it and get to a point where you're winning, some of the stuff could be looked at as brush it under the rug and it don't matter. But when you taking L's on top of it, and then you look at it and say, hey, listen, you had to parry on Winfrey.
That's the point.
You taking these L's, and now you talk about, and I know people don't want to hear this, but I saw so many different people, and it's been crazy. In the grocery store walking, they said, G. Bush, man, they got rid of Nick Chubb, and this guy gets getting in trouble. And you try to explain to him, it's not the same, but them people don't care nothing about that. All they know is you drafted him in the second round and you didn't give Nick Chubb a contract.
You're the guy who traded for Deshaun Watson, whether it was behind all you or you were forced, you had your hand forced. You're the guy who let Nick Chubb go. You're the guy who hasn't won. You're the guy with Perry on. You could avoid a lot of headaches if you win.
Yep.
And you look at the good teams around football, like the Chiefs, for example, right? They had the Rashee Rice situation.
He been going crazy for
he just got
sentenced for 3-4 years.
He just got sentenced, I believe, to 30 or 60 days in jail, which he can serve during the offseason over the next 4 years. That doesn't become a distraction in the story, because when you win, it just gets kind of swept under the rug, right or wrong. Mm-hmm. With the Ravens and the Justin Tucker situation, he's not a quarterback, he's a kicker. I understand it's not exactly apples to apples, but the allegations were incredibly similar to the Deshaun Watson situation. But because the Ravens have a track record, by the way, not the greatest off-field track record between Ray Rice, Ray Lewis, some other Terrell Suggs, Justin Tucker. But when you win and you have this establishment and this reputation.
You got Lamar Jackson like this.
And he can basically stiff arm some of the negative stuff away, push it out, and everyone forgets because there's football to talk about.
Right.
And there's excitement around the season, and there are expectations. And you don't get drugged down by these off-field issues. With the Browns right now, it's just the perfect storm of misery, basically. And I don't, if there's a better word, please help me find it. But you went 3-14 last year. You haven't had a playoff season since COVID, right? That was the last time they made the playoffs. They've won one playoff game in 30 years, basically.
Houston. They lost at Houston.
Lost to Houston. Okay, good call.
Yeah.
I meant won a playoff game. You're coming off a 3-14 season. You don't have a quarterback right now. You drafted 2, which has led to all these other side conversations. You had the off-field issues, and you're a GM on the hot seat. It's just the perfect collection of bad circumstances to lead us to have these conversations. And when you're the same GM who has brought in multiple players that have had similar issues, whether it's fair or not, because to Jason's point, there wasn't this track record on Quinshon Judkins' past that said, hey, that's a red flag.
Right.
It still leads to questions about the vetting process, because we have to ask those questions. Did you miss something? In this case, it seems like the Browns didn't miss anything. This is a one-off kind of situation, but it's just a bad situation overall to be in, and the way Andrew Berry addressed and handled that situation did feel very different from the similar allegations in the past with Mike Hall, Deshaun Watson, Perry on Winfrey, and how they've handled those.
And I think, Jason, you said it. I don't personally blame Andrew Berry for Quinshon Judkins.
No.
I mean, Andrew Berry is a family guy. He's a solid guy. He has good morals. He has a great moral compass. He's highly educated.
Seems like a good dude.
He has nothing. He didn't go out here and do that. And guess what? We all love to pick Quinshon Judkins at 2 places.
Yep.
Ole Miss. I mean, I talked to Tyvis. Tyvis knows him. I said, yo, Tyvis, you seen it? Nah, bro, I had nothing. Yeah. So it's tough for me to sit here and crucify him for it, but here's what I do know. The GM position is tough, and rightfully or wrongfully, you get credit for some things, and you unfairly get blamed for some things. Just
some of the stuff you get credit for, by the way, is if a scout is standing on the table saying draft Puka Nacua, for example.
Oh yeah.
We don't know which scout. We don't know if that was a Les Snead pick in L.A. or if that was a
crazy.
random West Coast scout. But guess who gets the credit?
General manager. I got Puka Nacua. I picked him up off the scrap heap.
And Jason, you've told us NBA stories where the GM may want one player, scouts want a different player. It ends up going in a totally different direction, and guess who gets blamed? The general manager.
GM gets fired.
I get yelled at on Twitter all the time. I can't believe UCSS said that. UCSS has never said a single word in its life. That was Jason Bull, JG Bull, me, whoever.
You just put the clip up.
Yeah, like I just hit the button.
And you know what the crazy part about it is? I just said earlier. I said, but I don't think Andrew Berry signed up for Shedeur Sanders, and I think he already got a person that he want to pick, right? But guess what? If Joe Flacco get hurt and then Kenny Pickett stinks it up, and then Shedeur Sanders comes in and plays well,
he gets all the credit.
Guess who's gonna get the credit
He's
for
a
it?
genius.
Yep.
He gonna be like, yo, he's seen it coming. As a matter of fact, we did our evaluation and we knew in our heart of hearts that he had it in him. He gonna get credit for it.
All right, let's get to our next topic, because if our next topic is correct, then Andrew Berry is going to get a lot of credit as well.
Yeah, guys, have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with family or friends? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you just want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes all that possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. And they've been incredible, and they have incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worrying out of buying. I personally use Game Time because I like the seat view on the app, so I know exactly where I'm going to sit. So you got to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
That was a clean read.
That was a good job, man.
That was clean.
I am so stuffy this week. I'm struggling through these reads.
Browns quarterback coach Bill Musgrave's talking right now, according to Zach Jackson. He says Musgrave said he doesn't anticipate, quote, earth-shattering changes to the QB rep scheme over the next week as camp wraps up. So what we've seen is probably what we will continue to see. On Wednesday, though, guys, Myles Garrett spoke to the media for the first time in training camp, and he had quite a quote, for lack of a better word. I'm also curious, after we read this quote, what he was supposed to say. Myles Garrett was asked about expectations for the upcoming season, not just for himself, but for the team, and said this, and I quote, "I expect to get to the Super Bowl. That's our expectation every year. I expect to run it back to Defensive Player of the Year, so keeping both those things in mind, I have to be the very best player I can be every single day, whether we're practicing or playing. As soon as I step in the building, I have to be the best version of myself and the best leader I can possibly be." The headline of that, Myles Garrett wants to run back DPOY and expects to get to the Super Bowl. Now, G, when you said that, a lot of people immediately responded with, "Are you on crack? Your win total's 4.5 for this season. This isn't a Super Bowl caliber team. DPOY, sure, but reach the Super Bowl, get out of here, be realistic." However, if he had said, well, probably not going to be very good in 2025. I just want to stay healthy, get a couple sacks. Let's get a little improvement here and look forward to the future. We would have came on this very program and ripped him for having no expectations for the upcoming season. So I'm curious. I don't think it's an unfair question to ask what your expectation for the team and for an individual player is. But what the hell is Myles Garrett supposed to say that doesn't end up getting torn apart from both sides?
Listen. I listen to battle rap all the time, right? And sometimes in battle rap, they say really crazy things, which is kind of hard to like put on regular TV. So what they do, they speak in metaphors and similes, and they say, I got to put it in subtitles. What he just said is, look, I got this money. I know good and well we ain't got no quarterback. And they keep telling me I need to be a good leader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take page 2 out of the leadership manual and be delusional, right? So I'm going to be delusional and say what you want me to say and what you want me to hear. Because sometimes keeping it real goes wrong. I know, I'm G. Bush. sometimes my mom says, you just shouldn't have said that, bro. You should have just chilled out. You could have saved yourself a whole lot of heartache and pain. You could have just, just sugarcoated it. Myles Garrett, no, they ain't even about to win no Super Bowl. But the one thing he does understand is now he's playing in his mind for legacy. Now, who knows where they'll be at the end of the road by the time they find a quarterback and if the team is better around him. But the one thing that he can do is somebody probably got with him and told him, like, listen, all right, now you can hit this second part of your career where if you want to be known as a Lawrence Taylor, if you want to be known as a Reggie White, you want to be known as a Ray Lewis, they may knock you because you don't have that ring, but one thing that you can do is put it to a point where you can say, well, he's the most dominating player in the league at a certain point in time and the first ballot Hall of Famer, right? So we'll see how that works. But for me, I think the only choice, and I did this on Ultimate Browns, the only way that the Browns overachieve is if he can get to a point where he has Mason Graham, Mike Hall Jr., and I watched the defensive line intimately yesterday, and they got some ball players. I like they have a chance to have a special unit because I think that they have the body type and the type of players that Jim Schwartz wants. And that's why I think they have a chance. But it starts with him. It starts with him making sure that Mike Hall is getting to what he need to do, and Mason Graham is being pushed, and Isaiah McGuire works on his pass rush besides run, and Alex Wright. So he has a role, and I think he can help maximize the team. But in terms of what he's supposed to say, he said he was supposed to say, right? And now he can fly under the radar, and we ain't gonna have no clippings. You know what I'm saying, Jason?
In a vacuum, he said what he's supposed to say. Like, yeah, that's what every leader of the team is supposed to say. The problem with Myles saying it is what he said in February.
Right.
And when he comes out, when he goes up and down Radio Row, basically asking every national radio show, hey, you want me? Want me to come on and kill the Browns? I got plenty of ammo. And he says, I'm not aligned with the front office and the trajectory of the team in the near future and where we're going. So what's changed since February, Myles? Like, they had 2 rookie quarterbacks, Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. You think that's the difference? And now suddenly you're super? Of course not. So that's the issue that he's running. It's not what he said yesterday. It's when you juxtapose it with what he said when he was trying to force his way out. And the funny part is, he wasn't lying in February. He's lying now.
That's the crazy part. I was just gonna say it. When they rolled that out, when they rolled it out to him and said, all right, so what we gonna do in the offseason? They said, we're gonna first start off with not signing Nick Chubb back. What? Second thing we're gonna do, we got Joe Flacco. We kind of like that, but we trading DTR for Kenny Pickett, and we're gonna take 2 dudes at the end of the draft, and we're gonna have a competition. That is not. He was actually right.
Yes,
keeping it wrong goes right, or wrong is crazy.
Do you remember, real quick, Jason, during that whole saga, and particularly when he went on Radio Row and did Rich Eisen and NFL Network, and when he did he was the most available superstar in the history of available superstars for interviews at Radio Row. We put up a poll. Is Myles right or wrong? And we love every single one of you watching right now. Every single one of you who tunes in on a day. We love you guys. But you're biased, and that's fine. That's why we love you. Even they were like, Myles is right.
Of course.
And now, and I have no issue, like, this is one of the situations, what's he supposed to say?
Right.
The Titans general manager, I don't know if you guys heard this clip, was asked on the first day of their training camp by a reporter, do you think this roster is good enough to win a Super Bowl? And he basically said no. He's like, we like some of our young guys, but we got a long way to go in a bunch of other positions.
Right.
And it got eviscerated. I got a buddy who works in Nashville, and he sent me the clip, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I'm like, rip him. Like, that you can't say that on the first day of training camp, even if you're being honest. You have to know when to lie.
See, I love honesty. I love bluntness and honesty. I applaud him.
But on the first, you can say
real.
that in week
Be
2.
real.
Hey, you know what? But right on the first day, you can't just tear out any strip of hope. But in Myles' case, no one was mad at Myles for being right 5, 6, 7, whatever the timeline was, 6 months ago. And no one's going to be mad at him saying, I expect to get to the Super Bowl, because that's what you wanted to say. But it is funny that in 6 months, the only changes, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel Shedeur Sanders.
Well, there's another change. The amount of zeros in his bank account.
That's
the other change.
And his love life is going well. Shout out, I completely approve, Myles. You're out here winning around. Listen, he's winning right now. He's up 10. Like, hey, look, by the way, let me just tell you this. He's still good. Very
Still
good.
very good.
He be going like 17.5%. 17.5%. And wrecking all the plays.
He beat DeJuan off the line yesterday on a play. DeJuan was like, "Where'd he go?
Which way did he go? Which way did he go, George?
He was by him like that.
I'm like, it's just evident. I'm like, bro, if he wanted to, he would just not let your quarterback get the rock off. They had to tell him, be cool, bro. It's supposed to be a quarterback competition. Nah, stop it, Myles.
There was one snap yesterday where it was like, all right, F it, I'm going. And off the snap, man, he was by DeJuan so fast.
It was like he didn't even. This is crazy because the field is big, and when you're moving around, immediate guy could be over there, and immediate. But everybody saw it. Like it was just, it's evident. Like it's like one of those things where in Madden they'd be like, and the impact player is really feeling good right now.
I can't remember I think Pickett was on the court. I don't remember. And he just like sort of like ran by him.
Yeah.
But he was there. It was incredible
Crazy.
how fast he got back there.
When I was in College Station before I moved to Cleveland, maybe the second year I was there, Brad Marchand's one of the SIDs for the football team. And he was Myles' guy. For whatever reason, Myles like, Brad, that was his guy. And I was just asking him, any crazy Myles stories, just trying to kill some time. I'm not going to name the offensive lineman because he's still on the fringe of out of respect. But he was a freshman when Myles was a junior at A&M. They had to tell Myles, sit out of this drill. Because they were trying to orchestrate something offensively. And he was past the left tackle before they could. They literally said, and it was Kevin Sumlin was the head coach, and he had one good year with Johnny Manziel, and then was a terrible coach. So
Mike Evans must have been the greatest thing
they
ever.
literally told Myles, you have to sit out because we cannot accomplish anything we are trying to accomplish because you were in the backfield too quick. They said it was once again, I want to use the words correctly. It's the most embarrassed they'd ever felt for a player. A high-level D1 SEC scholarship athlete.
They had to bench their best player to get him reps.
to get him reps.
You're killing this man's confidence, bro.
Yeah.
And think about it. My old defensive coordinator, Tim DeRuiter, was there when they had Von Miller. Mm-hmm. And
another freak of nature.
They was like, oh, we got Von Miller. But then people was like, at College Station was like, hold on. Nah. You ain't seen Von Miller was great. And this is at the point when Von Miller was in the league just wrecking stuff, just winning Super Bowls by himself. They said, we got this dude named Myles Garrett, though. You ain't seen nothing yet. He about 3 inches taller, and he might be just as fast. I say, bro, stop lying to me. And, they weren't lying. It's kind of when actually people's history is bigger than what they actually got to, is wild.
We got 2 minutes before our next guest jumps on, so I want to ask you this, Jason. If Myles took the Titans general manager's approach, and when asked what's your expectation for this year, and gave the dead honest answer, I hope we could win 6 games. I hope we get a rookie.
Well, you don't have to be that.
But I'm just saying, if he took the very direct, honest, blunt approach to that question, what do you think we'd be saying today as opposed to having this conversation?
I don't know what you'd be saying, but I'd applaud him for being authentic and sticking to what he said in February, that, hey, listen, I know what I signed up for when I got here. This is a process, and I'm going to see it all the way through. That's it. That's all you got to say. And you be authentic. You guys might kill him for it. I would not kill him for it because that's being genuine and authentic. Because
we ain't stupid. Like, that's the thing. These people be saying stuff. They be saying a lot of stuff. But it don't be factual. They have to say that, right? Like, look, bro, we know what the game is. We just sat here and told you. I told you that Andrew Berry, in my heart of hearts, I feel like he already he identified somebody he liked. Now think about this. This is me, and I get disgusted. I'm like, what do you mean? You just had 2 quarterbacks this year you won't play. You won't play them, but you tell me you got another dude next year and you punting? I get mad every single day, and you know what? You can't get mad every day. Can you imagine what he did when he told Myles Garrett the same thing?
Yeah.
Because Myles Garrett knows. He told him, these guys, we don't know, but we got some prospects in 26. So he's like, let me go ahead and get me some sacks and just chill out and grow my relationship.
One last thing before we bring our guest on. Cool moment from Browns camp this morning. Jerome Baker was talking at the podium. Shedeur walked by because Shedor's talking today.
Yeah.
According to Mary Kay, all the reporters left Jerome Baker's podium, ran over to Shedor's. Shedeur told Browns PR he would not talk until Baker was done. So they went back over, finished talking.
He is extremely likable.
So that's really cool move by Shedeur.
Shedeur is extremely likable. I've been really, really impressed with him.
Really cool move.
A lot of people, like I was watching him, and he talks to like, it'd be like, I don't know what they are. Browns people got the, people that,
They do everything.
They do everything. Yeah. And he's talking to them and laughing and joking, and he's really hands-on. He jokes. He's like the little puppy that runs around with the big dogs. When the big dogs be looking around and he be biting at their ears and stuff, Joe Flacco be like, bro, you stop messing around with me. I used my 10 words up today.
Nah, that's a cool move. All right, we'll get back to some football in a little bit, but first, let's pivot to baseball, and we have a guest to bring in.
Yeah, before our guest, guys, summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it super fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Are you new to FanDuel? New customers can bet $5 and get $150 if your bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. I'd like to welcome in our guest, Jack Johnson from Locked On Royals.
What's up, Jack? How you doing today, man?
Hey, we're doing pretty good over here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, Jack, big series this weekend between the Guardians and the Royals. First game tonight on Apple TV. And this one has a little bit of wild card implications. If nothing else, at least bragging rights. I know Cleveland won 2 of the first 3 games of the series, but the Guardians are red hot. The Royals, give us a little bit of information on how KC is doing headed into this series.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing better baseball in the month of July. They're 11-7 through these first 18 games, but still they've got so many teams they're chasing in the wild card picture. I mean, they're 4.5 games back of that final wild card spot. This, of course, is going to dictate a lot going into the trade deadline next week. Cleveland, a team that has always given them tons of issues, whether that series be played in Kansas City, whether that series be played in Cleveland. They just always seem to have their number, and I think that J.J. Bacola, the GM of this squad, understands that for this team to be a buyer, for this team to really make a push in the second half, they're going to need to win this series, or more than that, sweep the Guardians, which just never seems to happen every time these two teams square off.
Well, Jack, that's what I wanted to ask you. Are they buyers or sellers, or is it still to be determined after the weekend? And it sounds like it's still to be determined after the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit TBD for now. We've been hearing so much that, the goal is still to compete in 2026. So we might see a little bit of buying. We might see a little bit of selling. I've tried to wrap my mind around that, on what that could possibly look like. A lot of baseball fans know out there that Seth Lugo's their number 1 trade chip. Yep. They don't have a loaded farm system. So if I was to tell you right now, my gut feeling is that they do trade Seth Lugo, but their goal is to look for an outfielder with multiple years of control. Now, is a team going to give them that for a 35-year-old rental that's likely to decline the qualifying offer? It's going to be tough to say so. I mean, the Cubs seem to be like a team that could match up, but they seem very adamant about not trading Owen Casey unless it was a starter with multiple years of control. That could be Chris Bubich in the Royals rotation, but they seem like they want to hang on to him as well. So I could see them trading away Seth Lugo, trying to get an outfielder that is a upper-end prospect, might be blocked somewhere. And then it wouldn't surprise me either if they tried to trade away, a couple of their top 15 prospects in the system and get another starter to replace Seth Lugo in the rotation.
Any chance Carlos Estevez moves?
I would say it's certainly a possibility. When they brought him in to be their closer, I mean, he's got an extra year here, and then he's got another option for a 3rd year. But he's been somebody that I believe has overexceeded maybe in the first, 102, 103 games than what they thought he could be. He's got 26 saves this year, but they keep saying over and over again, the goal is to contend in 2026, whether that be contend for a playoff spot, division title, World Series. That'll remain to be seen until we see what they do in the offseason. But if they get the right price, if they have a team that is so desperate for a closer and they can get help for this offense, I'm not going to rule it out whatsoever because they've got a couple of guys that can close out games. Lucas Ursig is still somebody they've got on multiple years of control. Steven Cruz has really popped in the bullpen with high-powered, upper 90s stuff with a 92-mile-an-hour slider. There are guys to replace him, but if they don't get the right asking price there, if they really don't have a team that desperately wants him, I'm probably going to say they're going to hold on to him.
I think this is a little bit of a strange question because, I go back and I remember, the Royals, in those a couple years winning the World Series and then going to the World Series. And in Kansas City, I kind of compare it to like in Cleveland, the Browns can do whatever they want to. And we're still going to pull up and show up and give them attention. What is the feel for the Royals in Kansas City behind the backdrop of having the Chiefs being there, but also being a team that not too far ago, you guys won a championship and was one of the best teams in baseball. Is that still reminiscent today with the fan base, and do they kind of resonate with that? And how patient are they with the kind of rebuild that's been going over the last couple years?
Yeah, it's a great question. Nobody can deny that Kansas City loves its football, and it's helped out, with Patrick Mahomes and what they've done over the last, decade, basically, and being so successful, getting to where the franchise had never really been before, just multiple Super Bowls back-to-back and winning double-digit games all the time. But you look at the Royals and what they mean to the city, they're still incredibly important. I wouldn't say that it's an organization that on a Monday night you're going to be putting 30,000 people into the stands, right? It's just not likely. Baseball's different, of course, than football. You play every single day, and football plays once a week. But this is a very passionate city when it comes to the Royals. When they're playing well, they absolutely are going to show up. And if you continue to play well, that's only going to increase. The unfortunate part is that over the course of their existence, really going back to, when they first won the World Series in 1985. I know they began in 1969, but in 1985 they won the World Series, and then they went 29 years between a playoff appearance. Their next playoff appearance was 2014, when then they got to the World Series and lost in Game 7 to the Giants. So there was a long time of just nothing but losing, 100 lost seasons. Having the season basically wrapped up by May, and it was tough to watch. Lots of managers in and out. There wasn't always a star player to look forward to. And then after they won the World Series in 2015, they went through a little bit of a lull again where they were competitive in 16, they were competitive in 17, but they lost 100-plus games in 18, 100-plus games in 19, weren't competitive in the COVID year, weren't really competitive in 21, 22, or 23. Now, last year, they get to the ALDS, and you could just see how the city embraced them once again. It almost felt like a sigh of relief. Like finally they have gotten back to that competitive level. But I will say this year it has been incredibly frustrating to go from a postseason appearance, which hadn't been to the playoffs since 2015, and now they're just kind of hovering around 500, a few games under, which has frustrated a lot of fans that had the expectation of they're going to take off after getting back to the playoffs.
Jack, I got a real question and kind of a silly one to wrap it up here. But first, what is it about the Guardians that have given the Royals so many issues over the last couple of years? Why is it such a tough matchup for them?
Yeah, I believe it's been the pitching. I mean, Cleveland is just known as a pitching factory. And, the Royals now have Brian Sweeney as their pitching coach, who, of course, has ties to Cleveland. And he's transformed the entire pitching staff. I mean, you go 2-3 years ago, the Royals were just scrapping together who they wanted to throw every fifth day, it felt like. And when he got to the organization, you were starting to see stuff out of guys that you never really thought they could have that type of arsenal, or you never thought they could throw that hard or have that type of spin rate. And for Cleveland, man, for so many years, I know you guys know this better than anybody, but it was like every fifth day in the rotation, somebody was going to start and give you 6 innings of shutout ball, or have a complete game shutout against the Royals. And that was so tough to compete against, because even in years where the Royals had a good offense, it was like, okay, well, you might be able to dodge Corey Kluber, or you might be able to dodge Shane Bieber. But then you're going to get this guy in Game 2 or Game 3 of the series that's going to be not as tough to hit, but still pretty damn tough to hit. And the Royals were just not able to match that in those series. And even if they had their ace throwing, like they might lose that game 2-1. And then just when you think, oh, you might have an upper hand on the Guardians offense, they don't have the same type of thump in the middle of the order, they're going to erupt for 10 or 11 games. So whether it be a mental thing that they can't get over, anytime I see Cleveland on the schedule, I go, you're going to be lucky to take 2 out of 3 in this series. And I know for this specific one, man, the Royals desperately need 2 of 3, or as I said earlier, they really need a sweep to put themselves in a buyer's conversation.
Jack, we'll get you out of here on this, but I want you to put on your GM hat for a second. We're approaching the trade deadline. If Cleveland called Kansas City and offered their entire farm system, every single player on every minor league team in the farm system for Bobby Witt Jr., what do you say?
Oh, man, that's such a good – so you're getting
every single triple A, double A,
single
single A, high A, low A, Arizona Complex League, all the facilities, all the concession money from the rest of this year, all of it.
I mean, if you're getting that many players, right? I haven't looked at where Cleveland's ranked in the farm system right now.
It's pretty good.
I guess then there you go. So you trade away Bobby Witt Jr. and you're going to be able to start making deals elsewhere and try to replace the production you got from Bobby Witt Jr. But as much as my Royals followers are going to hate me, you get that many players involved in a deal, you can figure out how to reload the roster after that.
Would it change your mind if I told you the Guardians haven't produced a single quality hitting prospect in like 53 years?
Yeah, I didn't finish the sentence. The farm system's decent, but none of them work out.
Well, there has been a little bit of that in Kansas City as well. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. Has been a superstar, but he was seen as a can't-miss guy, him and Adley Rutschman in that draft. So I can't really credit the developing of him. Although Vinny Pasquantino was somebody that was a later-round pick between, I want to say he was a 9th rounder out of Old Dominion, and he's turned into an above-league average bat. But, I can sympathize with that you've got some top prospects before, they just never amounted to something. So maybe that would change my opinion a little bit, that if I get, 50, 60 players or however many it'd be in return, and not one of them turns into something, I guess I'll be fired shortly after.
Awesome. That is Jack Johnson from the Locked On Royals podcast. Jack, thanks for joining us today. Make sure you check him out on YouTube on the Locked On Network podcast family. He's part of us. We're part of them. Jack, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, and let's get a read and we'll get to our final topic of the day.
Yeah, guys, I want to remind everybody about Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with family or friends? Maybe it's game day and you've suddenly realized that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes all that possible. Game Time makes buying tickets simple and fast. Prices on the app actually drop closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and lowest price guaranteed that takes away the worrying of buying. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming game like Monday against the Rockies here in Cleveland. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
All right, guys, about 15 minutes. We're heading over to WKYC for the last half hour of today's program. But we have one more topic to get to, and that involves the most under-talked about top 5 pick in the history of the NFL, Mason Graham. At rookie camp, Mason Graham said he weighed in at 305. Yesterday, he told Andrew Siciliano he's down to 292. It's a lot lighter. G. Bush, you played defensive tackle. I'm curious, in your mind, is 292 too light? Is 305 too heavy? Is there an ideal playing weight for a defensive tackle with Mason Graham's size, or is that something he's not going to know until he actually tries out a few different varying weights to figure what his body responds to best at the highest of levels?
Well, everybody has there's a fluctuating weight. Like, I've played anywhere from 265 all the way up to 305. Depending on what you want to do, depending on whether or not you run a 3-4 or a 4-3, or if you are a guy that plays a traditional nose tackle position who is trying to keep linebackers free and clean, you need to be a little more heavy to take up those double teams and eat guards up, so to speak. But when Jim Schwartz in his defense is all about, hey, we upfield. We don't play to run, and we don't hold guys. We're not holding nobody up. The linebackers will figure it out. They clean up afterwards. But for us, we cause havoc. We'll worry about where the football is on the way to the quarterback. So to be that explosive and it was two different systems in Michigan. Michigan was very much a system where, we keep linebackers clean and you definitely have to take up some double teams and guards. But where he excelled the most, if you look at his film, was his side-to-side lateral mobility and able to make a quick move and get upfield and penetrate and do things like that. He has a nice arm over move in a run game. I think he'll be more quicker. I think he'll be more explosive when you do play at 292. And by the way, they're probably going to use him in a way in which they do have Briggs. They do have Malik. What's the name?
Collins.
Malik Collins. They got guys who are going to be rotating in on certain downs and distance. But for them, their best package is going to be, I got Mike Hall in a 3 technique. I got Mason Graham and maybe a 2-eye or 1 technique. I got Myles Garrett maybe standing up somewhere. And I got Alex Wright or Isaiah McGuire or some of the other ends that they got. Mm-hmm. So now they just picked up the kid from Tampa Bay, who used to be a first-round pick.
JTS.
Yeah, so they're going to have some guys that they're going to put out there, and that's going to be, the goal for them is to get to the nickel. So if we can stop the run on the first down and we can stuff you, now we can get to where we want to put our package in to really start moving up. So I think Jim Schwartz told him to lose the weight because if you remember, he was kind of gassed during rookie camp. And Jim Schwartz demands a lot out of you in terms of the pass rush. And you want to be in shape because the worst thing as a defensive lineman is you don't want to be like, yo, you got a base package with the number ones, and then you got the nickel package with the number ones. Yep. And you don't want to not be on the nickel package. That's where you get the money from. I don't care nothing about base. You don't get paid for tackles. You get paid for sacks. So I think that's where he's going to get his most work.
Do you lose weight during the season? I know from covering the NBA, guys lost weight as the season went on.
I gained weight during the season.
Really?
So there's 2 different tracks. I used to go to the trainer because my pants was too tight. And they're like, bro, because you don't remember, like during camp, you're playing and it's hot and you lose a lot of weight. But when that season start getting around,
you're not practicing.
You ain't practicing as much. We ain't going full go. Now I'm doing weights and it's like, yeah, and then
you're still eating the same.
And you eating good. You're eating tremendously good. And so I'm like, man, I feel like my game pants ain't fitting the way. They said, bro, you been eating all that. They take you to the movies. They take you to get what you want. You eating all. That's why it's important. Like even you watch Patrick Mahomes, like in that quarterback thing, Patrick Mahomes being there really running hard during the season. So I don't know if Mason Graham is a guy that can easily put on weight or easily gain weight. There are some people who, like Joe Thomas talks about, Joe Thomas had to physically put himself in a position where he had to eat that much to stay that weight. He said naturally that's not my weight.
Look at him now.
And look at him now. So there's some people who lose weight, some people gain weight. He might be a person that loses weight. But I do believe that it'll serve him better to be more quick.
I think this kind of question is one where we can't answer. He has to answer. I'm not sure what he played at Michigan. It is interesting, it wasn't a knock coming out, but he was known as a run stuffer at Michigan, right? Like that was his primary, arguably the best run stuffer in football, in college football. His pass rush saw potential, but there wasn't the production to match it. And maybe slimming down a bit unlocked some of that pass rush potential. I looked up some other notable defensive tackle measurements to kind of gauge, is 290 on the lighter side? Is that on the heavier side? Well, one, Aaron Donald comes to mind, and this is Mason Graham's current listing with some of the other top defensive tackles in football now and some of the other top 5 picks in football from where we've compared him to in the past. But you see Aaron Donald, he's the outlier, right? Aaron Donald was the freakiest of freak athletes, which allowed him to play at 285. He also may be the strongest 285 ever, right? Like some dudes at 285 are stronger than other dudes at 320. He was the outlier. You can see Quinnen Williams, 6'3", 305. Chris Jones, 6'6", 300 pounds. Jalen Carter, 6'3", 315. Jeffrey Simmons, who thrived in Jim Schwartz's system, 6'3", 305. Dexter Lawrence is an outlier in his own right because he's lightning quick at 340. And Ndamukong King Suh, another top 5 pick, was 6'4", 315. So it's on the lighter side. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. And he's also, 22 years old? Like, his body is not...
He'll still grow.
Yeah. In
one way or the other.
You're right.
Yeah, so...
And he'll figure it out. He'll figure out what... You know, I think it's an inexact science, but after you get more information, like I realized...
You can tweak it to yourself.
Yeah, like I realized that the best weight I should probably be at is around 272.
Have you ever heard the Pat Riley Shaq story when Shaq got traded to Miami?
Yep.
Jason, are you familiar with this?
I don't know. Tell me.
So Miami has this rigorous fitness test.
Yeah, crazy.
You have to be certain body fat. You have to be...
I heard it's like under 5%.
For guards and bigs, it's a little different. But yeah, like complete, they are...
I'm out.
I'm cool. Me and Jason can't play.
Absolutely maniacal about it. And when Shaq got there, they obviously made that big deal for Shaq. Shaq was at I don't remember the exact numbers, but let's say for bigs it had to be 8% body fat. Shaq was at 16. And they're like, all right, Shaq, you got to meet this. And Shaq cut down to 11 or 12, got down to 9. He never got to the number. Got close, though. Mm-hmm. He started getting all these tweaks and all these injuries. Like, just minor stuff, nothing serious. And he went to Pat Riley and said, Pat, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand the goal you're trying to accomplish. My body does not function at the way it has to function for me to be the dominant player you traded for at this weight.
Yep.
I need some, and he used the word blubber. Shaq told the story, and I'm taking out the curse words. It's like, I need that blubber to be able to absorb the hits and not get these elbow bruises and contusions. And to this day, to my knowledge, and I still know some people in the Miami organization, and I asked them probably last year, has anyone? Nope, no one. Was the only guy that Pat Riley was like, okay, it's not 8, you get to be 12. Like, you get to pick the number where you – it ain't 16.
Right.
Yeah.
You wasn't in shape that we needed you to be in shape, not in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be this size fits all. He got the exception, and I think that is applicable to football too.
Yeah.
You don't have to be 6'4", 315 to be an effective defensive tackle, and not everyone can thrive at 285 like Aaron Donald.
It's wild because go back and watch. There was Myles Garrett did his training video last year. And you just go see how maniacal it was. And he said he linked up with LeBron and told him, hey, what we going? And this dude be counting hours of sleep, minutes. The meals got to be on time so quick where it's like, nah, the lady comes over and delivers it and I eat it within this amount of. It's just, it go like Tom Brady. He like, bro, I ain't had no sugar and 20 plus. I mean, some of the way, but you know what I will say? It worked. Because I saw Myles Garrett in an accident that would have had me. I'd have been with the Lord right now. I'd have been with the Lord right now, all these soft little muscles. I ain't got nothing in my lower body. I'd have been out. But this dude played the rest of the season.
Yep.
I ain't never seen nothing like that, bro. The program works. So, yeah. There's levels to it, and then you got to watch yourself because people say, I'm going to work out with Myles Garrett. No, you got to, Sometimes you don't want to work out with no people because I don't want to do the workout. I don't want to do McNuggets workout. I seen him down there doing prayer abs like this with the weights on it. I'm not doing the prayer abs. I just want to do the shoulders. That's it.
That's it. All right, Ant, we got some super chats to wrap up this YouTube version of UCSS. What's up?
Yeah, guys, our first one comes from Low High. Shout out to G for the T-Rex reference on the barbershop. Who's your favorite top 5 battlers? I got to go with Mook, Geechee, Chess, Rum Nitty, and Pat Stay.
No surf? You ain't got Lux, no surf?
How could he?
Don't yell at me. I just read the chat.
That's Low High, that's outrageous. No swerve?
Free to wave, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But I like Geechee. One of the ones that ain't really crazy. But he remind me of myself because I like to think I'm fly. Shout out to Goods. I like Goods too.
I like Goods 3. All right, Ant. Next
Agreed with everything. Aggie says, I really would like to see what makes Sanders a fourth because the talent gap is not that drastic. And then they also said 1/3 of the NFL has low NFL QB play with the Browns at the bottom. If Sanders comes in and has average NFL play, that's a boost. Why is that hard to understand?
Now, listen, what I just said has no bearing on my opinion for Shedeur Sanders. If it was G. Bush's team, I'd have Shedeur Sanders taking first team reps today. But this is just.
They get mad at the messenger.
We're
just telling y'all what
hey, I'm telling you what it looked like. Now, if they want to. Now, here's the thing. Like I always said, you could get an opportunity and show what you can do, and things can change overnight. I remember as a dude named. There's a lot of dudes in the league that wasn't supposed to be nobody.
Victor Cruz.
And turned around and was like, oh, he's the guy now.
And we got 3 more. Read them all, then we'll react to all 3 at once.
Okay, so Aggie wants to know, G. Bush, are you hip to Fonz in battle rap from the land?
I like
and
Fonz.
Kirk Davis, breaking news, Andrew Berry has been fired and replaced with G. Bush. And lastly, from Kirk Davis, these mother Huckabees trying to tank for possible ain't no way, boy. We have 3 really good quarterbacks. And this is why we can't find a good quarterback because their eye for talent is SIHIT.
2 of 3 really good quarterbacks is.
That's a stretch.
So shout out to Fonz from Cleveland. I am aware of him. URL, throw a battle, bro. Listen.
You be a good battle host.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Black. But no, listen. Here's what I always say, guys. One thing that we are correct with. You're going to get a chance to see Shedeur Sanders play in the preseason. By the way, there's no reason I should be watching Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco play in preseason. Can we align that? Can we get to the point? Why? I need to see Dillon Gabriel one half, Shedeur the other half for 3 straight games.
I think you'll see a lot of those two. I do think, Joe knows the system. I think they want to see what Pickett looks like in the system.
I want to see Pickett, yeah. I do want to see Pickett. But I do think the majority of the snaps will come down to the rookies.
Should go to the 2
There
young
you go.
guys.
And you're going to get a chance to see, so.
All right, we're taking a 3-minute break. We'll see you on WKYC. You can download WKYC Plus app to watch all the action. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a great weekend. Peace.